Hello, everybody. Hello. Don't you know, everybody, that something rhymes with no? Hello. So, it's a great day. Very hot outside. Today was sweaty as balls today. I didn't even climb any trees today, and I was fucking sweating. Never mind. I was sweating. I even wrote a little song about how much I was sweating today. I don't know if I can remember it. Yeah. So I decided to do a podcast because I was feeling grand. Not sure I'm quite prepared for it at all, but that's just my style. I'm going to try and tackle some topics today. Thought all my other videos had some pretty clear and concise topics, so I thought I'd get into a greasy rant today. Come around full circle. Video number 10. Boom. Rant time. So today I thought I'd been reading this book actually. I love to read, but I don't really find much time to do it. And when I do read, I usually just read a book for a while and then buy another book that's enticing, and then there's a lot of books I haven't got finished, but this book is ridiculous. When I saw it, I was like, what the fuck? Like, obviously there's probably a bunch of bullshit in this book, you know. Then I picked it up, and a lot of the stuff I already knew in the initiatory stuff in the book about magic and stuff. Magic spelled with a K at the end. Occult knowledge stuff of the sort. And so all that's in this book, you know, shit like that. And so it's some people, they might think that, you know, spell witchcraft, stuff like that is the work of the devil, is hocus pocus, bunch of bullshit, or maybe they're afraid of it because they were raised with some sort of restrictive religion, some sort of crazy view that any type of knowledge or wisdom about any sort is bad to have in your brain, and that you're gonna go to hell if you have any knowledge in your brain, which is like the most fucked up concept ever. Like, if you learn about something, you're going to hell. You better not learn about that thing. So it's like, my understanding about that type of viewpoint is that all that wisdom, all the wisdom, shit like, okay, basically the type of wisdom that's like alchemy, fucking knowledge from Kemet, Egyptian wisdoms about astrology and shit, magic, occult knowledge, all that stuff is like, it's mostly like knowledge about correspondences, the four elements, you know, fire, air, water, earth, the idea that they correspond with all levels of reality, of creation, as it were, and they make up all the things. This type of wisdom is throughout all these cultures. You know, ancient Hebrew wisdom and mysticism, Egyptian shit, the Renaissance was hugely fueled by philosophy and the partaking in this knowledge. And then all these churches were like, fuck all this work that we put into killing these people off and trying to literally extinguish this wisdom. You know, we burned the fucking all these sacred texts and all these wisdoms and shit, all the libraries and shit. Now it's coming back. Oh fuck. So they were freaking out. Like, basically all this wisdom, the churches came along and they were like, nope, that's the devil. You can't use that. You can't have that power. I think I touched on this type of stuff a bit ago in my, was it the occult video? I don't know, I forget. But I was discussing that there's certain rituals or meditative kind of practices that you do to empower yourself. And so the idea of magic, as if it were at all different from that, is that you're basically, like stuff in this book, is that the more you understand the correspondences, like if you want to affect some certain layer of your being, whether it's your mentality, your communication of ideas, that would be air. That would be the air element, your mental planes. If you want to, bring forth your creativity more efficiently, if you want to bring forth your power of will, that's fire. Your emotional spectrum is very fluent, and that's water. Your physical being and your stability in the physical plane, your wealth, your home, your health, that's earth. So the idea being that if you wanted to kind of work on any one of those things, you would gather together correspondences to those things. So things in the physical world, not just the physical world, but like, say you wanted some incense, or say you wanted a certain plant or herb or whatever, and then you say a certain word. The idea is that you're saying a spell or some shit, is that you're gathering together things of that general energy, the general kind of frequency relating to that thing that you want to align with, that you want to connect to and improve in your own life. You're collecting together objects and things and totems, or whatever you want to call it, things in the natural world that are kind of closer to that selective energy, so to speak. So the thing that I talk about a lot is the idea of, I know I've mentioned the holographic universe, and the idea that, it's all just a hologram or whatever, but like, it's not that it's a hologram. It's not that the universe is not real. It's just that there's subtle energy, there's things that build up this physical world. So there's a subtle energy that's making this mug right now. It's programmed as such to be green, to have this shape. It's just, those are the real basic programs within the construct that makes this physical structure. And all those programs are just energy frequencies that are on the subtle planes. So the idea that there's this plane of just sheer energy programs, if you will, floating about, and then we take those energies in with our brain, like deciphering them with our computer, like, okay, that's this program that is a mug. This program that's a nicely cooled and perspirating beverage that was gifted to me by my father. You know, that's a very different program. It's got some liquid energy programs in there that, when combined with my program, my biology, it'll affect my consciousness, my being. So the idea of the holographic universe is that everything's just like an energy frequency, and all these things like are basically intermingling, you know, all that stuff, to make the reality that we see. And the idea of the hologram is that you have the hologram that we experience, the physical world, but that's being casted by this light, which is the source of all, and then the film is the laws in the universe, and then, you know, we're experiencing the end, but we potentially, the idea is that we are light. Our being is light, right? So the idea that we can program, we can mess with the emanation. We can, you know, change things. You know, I'm changing this fucking piece of wood into a ring right now. And the idea is that by definition, what magic is, I've heard the description of magic is simply to change, make a change in accordance with your will. So to change something, to change anything in accordance with your will. So whether that's, you know, you picking up a blade that you acquired somehow, presumably through magic. Presumably you wanted that blade, so you took the necessary steps. Maybe you cast a spell onto this magical computer book, and you sent that spell out, and you put a magical digits with your Visa card on there and ordered a blade. But who knows, right? That's how I did it. And then you fucking got what you, like, it only wouldn't have been magic if you just found it. But then theoretically you subconsciously cast that thing to find a blade, right? Because you're making a change in accordance with your will. So whether it's you're just whittling, like I am, that's a magical act, so to speak, or maybe you're going, you know, even further and collecting together all these frequencies, all these elements of relation to the frequency of something that you want to align with, a certain energy that you want to align with, a certain thing, and then you're saying certain words that are somehow have been programmed. Those specific words have been like audibly programmed to have those phonetics to align with a certain energy or certain frequency. So that's how the ancients used to do it. The ancients used to literally program their language in accordance with the energy that they're speaking. So ancient Hebrew, Arabic, ancient Sanskrit, these are more ancient languages that people say are more in tune with intention. So the idea that what you're speaking is on a vibratory level, the energy is vibrating with the thing that you're trying to convey. So you're literally speaking your will into the universe. The idea that you say, whether you're just communicating with another human being and you're just accurately, it's their brain is resonating the frequencies and it is in tune with their understanding of the word, and they're actually receiving it on multiple levels, where it's just intellectually with the meaning of this deciphered word, but also audibly with the frequency that you're saying like something, I love you or something, the frequency of that statement would be very elevated and elevating, whether you understood it or not, through sheer intelligence. And so the idea, even the word abracadabra is a Hebrew word, and it's literally deciphered as what I speak will manifest. What I say will come to being. So, stuff like in this book, like there's a spell in the book that's to summon strength. And I really like this one. I just happened to come across it. But it's just basically like you're trying to bring about strength and endurance and vitality to your physical being. And the things that you bring together are you get a yellow flannel bag. Yellow because yellow is the color of the sun. The sun is very powerful. It's arguably the most powerful planet in our solar system. All the other planets circulate. It's it's emanating sheer power and light. There's some things, ironweed, snake root, blah 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 blah. But all these things are related to like the sun, like your circulatory system. A bloodstone is kind of, I'm quite sure it's with the sun, but it also resembles Aries to me, like the Mars, which is kind of like a planet, that energy. And it's weird, like I don't know how these people figured this out. Like I'm quite sure it wasn't just like, oh well, let's make this planet have this type of energy and feeling. Like Aries is just, Mars is just about war and aggression and masculine energy, and Venus is just about caring and nurturing and love. Let's just make that up. No, it's because these ancients actually observed these planets for long enough that there's attributes of the actual physical planet that are in alignment with those energies. Like Mercury, the god or the deity that's named after the planet in Greece is Hermes, and Mercury in Rome, and he's the messenger of the gods. And so he's in between the center, which is the godhead, which is the sun, and all the other planets. He mediates the center, the heart, if you will, of our solar system, with all the other gods. He's the mediator, and he spins the fastest amongst all the other planets. So he's in between, and he's reflecting all of his energies in between his energies in between all the other planets, with the godhead of our solar system. And so he's, as you can see with the personality of this god, he's fast. He's mediating. He's the messenger, and he's flying around all the time. And then the sun, being the heart, is quite obvious. Is the center, is the life bringer. So, in attribution to our own physical being, as above, so below, the universe is a holographic, fractal-based emanation. If you don't know what a fractal is, you're going to have to figure that one out. It's basically a pattern that reoccurs throughout the entire image of the thing. So one part of the section mimics the same pattern as another part, and the same patterns in the whole as in the smallest point. So everything's similarly designed. As above, so below. So our heart is the sun, and then the nervous system is what's connecting the whole thing, the circulatory system. And the circulatory system is related to Mercury. And so And Mars is the adrenal glands, is adrenaline. So that's obviously, you can see the connections there. And so the thing about, you know, doing a spell or whatever is that I don't know that much. Don't take my word for it. Look into it yourself. But the more I just started looking into this stuff. I knew about the 4 elements. I knew that those were potentially powerful things that you could just psychically kind of address, and in turn kind of cleanse your being or whatever. Like, I learned about the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram a long time ago, and it's about banishing your demons. And it's you use the elements. You face the 4 directions, which is another big thing in magic, the 4 directions, and each one of them has an elementary aspect. East is air, intellect. South is fire, is where the sun, the hot, comes from. In the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, it's opposite. North is earth, and west is water. West is where the sun dies, and is kind of relating to the emotional aspect of things. Cooling. Water is very cooling, so the sun's dying in that side. So there's many reasons why these things are programmed as such, but the thing about the lesser banishing ritual is that when I learned about the lesser banishing ritual, I also learned that the kind of basic idea about why these things are used. And one of the concepts from, I believe it's from ancient Hebrew mysticism, but it could very well be from also Egypt and all that stuff. A lot of wisdom was accumulating in that zone. You know, this is all pre-Catholicism, pre-Christian stuff. And the other interesting thing is that all the ancient philosophers, all the greats like Socrates, Pythagoras, Plato, Aristotle, all those motherfuckers, some of the really wise things that they came up with, especially when it came to actual factual things like geometry and, you know, astrology or whatever kind of studies that they were getting into, all that stuff was already known for thousands of years before those fucks. The ancient Egyptians knew that stuff way before all these motherfuckers. So the thing about this type of wisdom is that it's been practiced for thousands of years, tens of thousands of years. This has been the understanding and the methodology. And then only in the past 2,000 years, 2.5 maybe 1,000 years, where we've been losing it, and it's been dumbing down and suppression, hardcore suppression of this wisdom, and just killing these people who practice this stuff, just killing the fuck out of them. And the fucked up thing is that these rituals, this stuff is not evil in any way. It's only evil if you're literally, it's just as evil as a fucking knife is whittling, you know? I've never done any evil with a knife in my entire fucking life. I've only done good with a knife in my entire life existence. I've just done cool, you know. I just need to use a knife from time to time, so I use a knife, and it's oh fuck, here's a knife, I'll fucking use it. It helps me in my life, you know. But I could have used this knife to fucking jab the eyeballs out of a motherfucker. But do I do that? No, because I don't want to fucking do that, because I'm not a fucking idiot. You know, I know morality. I understand how fucking logic works. If I stab somebody, there's gonna be negative consequences. So it's just like that. Magic is just the exact same principle. It's you could use it to improve your life, to empower your being, to make yourself, feel better, to bring about, vitality, to potentially bring about these things in your life and improve your well-being, your health, maybe improve your wealth, maybe even do, like, I don't know how this shit works. Do a fucking abundance spell. Fuck, I don't know how it works. But my understanding is that, like, the universe is frequency based, is energy based, and I'm seeing this more and more and more as, like, I've learned this concept like years ago, and I've been like, yeah, it makes sense. But it's like the more I fucking kind of feel it out and think about it, it's one thing just believing in it mentally, but it's another thing to experience it. Like, fuck, I've got a daughter now, and it's like the more I feel a connection, I'm exuding emotions that are connective, that are loving and soothing and calming, I directly see results. But when I'm like, oh no, like, am I holding this baby right? Like, is this uncomfortable for the baby? Am I gonna fuck up? Am I gonna hurt this baby? Then it's like she's uncomfortable. And there's multiple cases of my life where I'm just seeing the results of emotions, of energy. It's just energy. Everything is energy. All the hologram is not, is debatably not the real true essence. The hologram is the Maya in I guess it's Hindu religion. The idea of the Maya is that it's a lie. It's a hologram. Is probably the best way to decipher it across languages. And it's like your life, this physical world, this just shadows on the wall. That's not the real true. The true is what's beneath that. The true is your spirit and your soul. And so it's crazy because there's layers to that. The thing about the four elements is that they're viewed as almost like a ladder. You've got earth at the bottom, which is physical, is the physical being, your physical body, the things you touch. Malkuth, if you will, on the tree of life. You've got water, which is a little bit, less dense. It's closer to the true. But, your emotions are influenceable easily by things that are not true, and they don't hold facts, but they're great. They help you live your life. They're very necessary, just like this one, just like Earth. And then there's intellect up here, and that's like how you decipher the world. How you need your intellect to even like decipher these things to be able to have any influence on the world. And then there's fire, which is your passion, which is kind of closer to your soul, to your true essence, your true will, your passion, your things, your creativity, stuff that comes from within. That's unexplainable where it came from, So another concept that I brought up, well, I didn't really bring it up, I vaguely mentioned it in my last video, video number 9, is the Hermetic principle. And all these Hermetic principles are right in tune with what I'm talking about. And I understand that there's countless people out there who are skeptical about this shit, that were raised with the understanding that, oh yeah, science is great, and science, none of this fits into science. None of this shit that Chester's talking about right now fits into science. He's talking crazy talk right now. It's like, no. that stuff, science is a methodology of solving problems. And it's only like early hermetics, early chemetics, alchemy, that was science. Before, like, after we completely erased that knowledge, after all these religious fucks came over to the West and were like, we don't know shit about shit, and they're like still using their brain though. They're like, oh well, let's make something called science. You know, let's keep going. Let's extend our knowledge, and that's great. You know, that's perfectly reasonable to use your brain, but like, you can't just erase shit and completely be like, no, none of that's true anymore. We've been discovering and finding out that the 7 Hermetic principles, we've been proving the facts of those things through quantum physics and astrophysics and shit for the past, 20 years. We've been proving that stuff. And people who are of scientific mind don't see the relation because they're not able to put their perception on it properly. They're not able to see it correctly. The thing about the modern scientific kind of viewpoint is that that it has to be a certain way. Like, there's a scientific methodology, and then there's scientism. There's people who just believe in everything that is science. And like, the thing is, like, these people you're listening to are smart as fuck. They know their shit, but they know their field, and they've never studied all this other shit. And so this stuff can be connected. The thing about the energy frequency of it all, the idea that a planet has a certain energy, and that it can influence your life with that energy. We have no fucking clue how to measure shit like that. We have no clue. There's no faith in science. There's no like, oh, I'm gonna do a test, get a result, and like a spell-based test, or a test from like psychic, like shit, like psychic shit or whatever, right? Like any of this shit that people would say is spiritual woo-woo BS. There's no way that you can do that type of test and get results. The only thing you can do is do the test, and either it worked or it didn't. And even if it worked 90% of the time, which is hard to do because there's a lot of shit you have to know, and even if you get it all perfect, your spell or whatever, it's not always going to work because maybe you deep down are not ready for that energy. Your own energy, you're the one doing the spell. Your own energy is like, nah, I'm not feeling it. Only you think you're feeling it up here, but your whole rest of your consciousness is like, no, it's not time for that. So the idea that it happens, say it happens, say you're doing this scientific experiment, 90% of the results are positive. Like, oh yeah, you can see a result. You can see that this spell helped with this thing or whatever. It attracted abundance in your life, The scientific mind person is still not going to believe it. They have to have faith in order for that belief to be there. They'll be like, oh, it still doesn't line up because how did it happen? How? I don't get it. Where's the result? Where's the results? Where's the evidence that it happened? You don't get to have that with that mind frame. You've lost that, what is necessary to. The ancient scientists would laugh at you in that viewpoint. they'd be like, well, good luck performing alchemy, you dumb fuck. You know, you've got all these facts in your brain, but not an ounce of wisdom. So, I don't know. Personally, I enjoy saying this shit. I enjoy talking about it because it's like ranting about my beliefs or whatever. But like, I'm not a voice to be taken as some sort of fucking like. I'm no expert. But at the same time, you know, and also like, I'm probably some sort of like bias motherfucker. So, and I don't know the most, but like, the thing is like, there's a lot of people out there who do know more than me. I look into the shit. Like, that's why the only reason why I bought this book is because I started reading it and I was like, yeah, it doesn't sound like complete nonsense. Like, when they're talking about how to, you know, like, it's not about the spell. It's not the spell. It's that the spell is there to get you on the right frequency, your electromagnetic fucking antenna on the right frequency to program the hologram in the way that you want to have a result. So, you know, it's very elusive to some people. This type of concept is very elusive to the modern day intellectual. It all aligns with everything. Like, we think our world is completely, you know, modern day, and we've lost all that hocus pocus shit, derper, even though our 7 days of the week are named after the 7 visible planets in the sky, the 7 planets that are used in magic, like this, you know, it's everywhere. This type of shit is everywhere. Easter was named after a fucking goddess representing fertility, and then religion came along and was like, no, let's reprogram this shit. Let's completely, like, take all the wisdom and all the knowledge out of it, all the useful stuff. Let's take all that away, but allow people to, you know, the only reason it worked, aside from the fact that they killed most people who practiced this stuff and were like die-hard about it, was that it's programmed with all that stuff in it still. Jesus is the sun in our fucking solar system, and he walked about the earth with 12 apostles, the 12 zodiac signs, the 12 fucking astrological months, so to speak. Fucking so fucked. So, you know, like, the crazy thing is that, like, this, we deny, there's people who deny fucking astrology has an effect on our minds. People deny that type of stuff. Yet when we bottle wine, you keep in mind the moon. When you bottle wine, keep in mind what pattern the moon's at, because it'll make the wine taste differently. Imagine how that affects the human consciousness and the vibratory complexity of a soul coming into a body. These giant electromagnetic balls of earth and water and fire and gases, just that are all spinning at different frequencies, rotating around the earth at different frequencies, you know, resonating at a different frequency. You know, never mind the effect that has on our consciousness, you know. Even though through quantum physics, we've completely proven that those things have a huge effect on things. You can't do an experiment without completely forgetting about, you know, how close Jupiter is to Earth at that time. Or if you do, you won't be 100% accurate. You can't, like, fucking other stars in the Milky Way galaxy are pulling on in a subtle way, are pulling on everything. They're changing shit. The last time that we were in alignment with Sirius A and B, some of the biggest and closest, not the closest, but the closest huge planets, not planets, suns. There's these two massively dense suns that are rotating around each other. The one's rotating around a white dwarf, which is smaller, but it's fucking crazy dense. And the other one's huge, like way, way bigger than our sun. And the last time they were in alignment with our solar system, we gained a whole, like, 2 minutes in a single day. 2 minutes extra. And then when that went away, the minutes went back to normal. Like, how can you say that these fucking giant astral bodies have no effect on us? You can't. There's absolutely no logical basis to say that there's no effect. The real question is how much effect and what effect there is. So, you know, these ancient civilizations, they knew all this shit. They incorporated this shit. The most advanced people would be foolish to not incorporate that stuff, you know? So, and it's fucking interesting to think too that, like, when you break down the human biosphere, like basically on an energy frequency basis, that we're like a collection of vibrations, right? And then the most vital vibrations are resonating right up through our core of our spinal column. And then all the more superficial vibrations are on the outside. So imagine if you took the whole physical being away and just had a ball of resonating frequencies in that ball, like sounds, that each one was developing a structure, a geometric pattern. So when you have resonant frequencies, they form a geometric structure. And there's a lot of work that Nazim Haramein, the quantum physicist Nazim Haramein, has done around this stuff. Very fucking dope ass shit. You know, stuff with the 64 tetrahedron grid lines up with the Merkaba. Lines up with the star tetrahedron, which is the shape of the Merkaba, which the ancients describe as being the light body, the shape of the light body. So the idea is that every human being has this structure spinning on the axis of your spinal column, or in a torus type bubble, and that energy is all flowing up, and your aura is in this bubble, this electromagnetic sphere, which is your being. So imagine you take away the physical hologram of your body, and you had just this collection of diverse resonating frequencies. That, you know, the amount of diversity in that bubble is so complex. You know, it holds all the information of your DNA, holds all the information of your psychology and the thoughts that are going through your mind, all the information of your emotional spectrum going on, and all the information about your physical being, the geometric structure of every single atom combination and every single different part of your body. So that fucking jumbled up ball of energy mass is so complex, but at the center of it is your heart, is the center of your spinal column, is there's more core glands in your body, your spinal column, and so it's moving in this circulatory mass. That's how it would operate in a frequency-based bubble. It would develop this bubble, this torus, if you will. So all this stuff, you could decipher it through the ancient wisdoms. The idea of people being super holy, they have a halo, you know, a ball of light going around their head. And it's like, if you have a torus, if you have an electromagnetic kind of bubble, which would form if that's, you know, if you were a ball of energy and frequency and with an electromagnetic poles, with your top of your crown and your feet, your bottom, this energy kind of spectrum from bottom to top, it's going up and out. And if it's spinning, if your body is in harmony, your shit's spinning super fast, if you're on a higher frequency, your fucking torus is going to be spinning faster. You're going to develop an aurora borealis, so to speak, in your biosphere. So just think about this type of stuff. You know, it's potentially science. You know, it's there's no fucking made up shit in it. And then fucking spirituality took it and was like, oh, this is all just made up. My faith, this is all just made up. Took all the wisdom out of it, and they're like, oh, people with halos, derpadur, angels, derpadur. Fucking idiots. So the other thing is, like, think about our solar system is a biosphere. We've got the sun in the center. We've got Mercury. You know, we've got Venus. We've got all this complex, different array of frequencies, of fucking spheres, you know, not whatever you want to call it. There's complex array of differentiations, different spectrums in the whole being, and we're fucking rocketing through this galaxy, and everything's spinning around the center. So imagine what we can't see of that biosphere. This cascading within its containment of the sun's gravity, this cascading frequency dance is just building up the fucking godhead of our solar system. This complex fucking arrangement of energy frequencies. So if you think that you can have a consciousness in something as small as our being, and that we have a super advanced, complex arrangement of frequencies to develop consciousness, but you don't think that something like that can have that advanced of arrangement of frequencies, you know, what's your basis for that? The only basis that I can think of for that would be like, oh, well, I learned in school that matter doesn't have brain. That matter can't think. It's like, that's such a detached from, you know, like I'm thinking about this complex array of frequencies that's everywhere. There's fucking just energy everywhere. Like the natives are talking about, you know, there's energy in a rock. There's an energy in that rock. It can't solve math, but it's got a energy. You know, there's mind in the wind. There's emotion in the wind and in the water. There's spirit. In fact, the very word spirit means it originated as and came from of spirit. Nature and natural is of spirit or controlled by spirit. So if you simply replace the word spirit in all these ancient civilizations, all these religions, as energy frequency, as, you know, vibration, as living vibration, is that crazy to put that there? You know, is that too out of control to think of things that way? And so, you know, I'm just tossing this shit out there. Fucking think about that stuff. It's dope ass shit, you know? Think about it. It might open your mind. The only thing, like, I'm wrong about a few things. I'm not talking about it properly. I'm not using the right words, but like somebody who would outright say, no, everything you're saying, Chester, is wrong, I would say maybe you're not looking at it right. Maybe you're not, you know, looking at things with the right eye to see it. You know, whatever. Take that home with you. Chew on it. Enjoy it. I hope you do. With that, I'm going to say love is law. Love under law. Peace out, ladies and gentlemen. I love you guys.